everybody, and welcome to Daily Reading 38, DR 38, Being Relentless. It is 9:54 in the morning. It's Sunday morning. Sundays are generally a little bit of a relaxation day, but I still want to get this video in for you guys. And I want to send a big thank you out to everyone who did share the last video, and the winner of Driven, My Unlikely Journey from Classroom to Cage is the Mad Factory Wrestling Club. Thank you very much for sharing the video. Isaac, I will be in touch with you soon, get your address, and shoot you the book. So thank you all very much for watching. Now, I just finished The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. And I love the book. Like I said, it was probably one of my favorite books. It is one of the favorite books I've ever read. Dan, thanks for joining. Evan, how are you, buddy? And honestly, last night I was in between taking care of Rocky, in between watching the UFC, and I got on my phone to figure out what book I was going to order next. And honestly, I was like so amped to start reading, and I was kind of sweating trying to figure out which one I wanted to go to next. I use Evernote, and I always put in books I want to read. So came down to two books, and I bought them both. So the first one I'm going to read, and the first one we're going to talk about for probably the next 2 or 3 weeks, is called Relentless, From Good to Great to Unstoppable. And the reason I picked this book is it deals with mindset. You know, when I talk, my programs, it's called A Fighter's Mindset. My podcast is called A Fighter's Mindset because I believe in applying that fighter's mindset to our everyday lives. You know, training for life, how you train for a professional fight. The same principles: consistency, perseverance, resiliency, self-confidence, all those things that equal success in a cage, in the UFC cage, equal success in life. And didn't hurt that this guy's first 2 or 3 testimonials were from Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, and Dwayne Wade. So this guy knows what he's talking about. And this is kind of just going to be an introductory. I actually got chills when I was reading the book today. So if you're an athlete, for sure, but if you're a person in life that desires more, that wants to be relentless, that wants to pursue goals, then the next 2-3 weeks are going to be extremely important. So please follow along. But he starts out the chapter talking about Kobe Bryant. And I watched a Kobe documentary on Showtime, I believe, and he said that, you know, when Kobe tore his Achilles, so he was in the prime of his career, he tore his Achilles tendon. And he said he had kind of 2 choices there. He tore it in the middle of a game, and he said, and he could have had his teammates carry him off, kind of hobble off, and have the crowd kind of give like a type applause and wonder what was going to happen, but he didn't. He made a decision to take his foul shots at the free throw line, and he made both foul shots, and then he walked with some assistance off of the court. And he points out that example to create this image of this idea of being relentless. And he mentions Kobe Bryant as being the kind of epitome of relentless. So he opens up the book talking about that opportunity, that small decision that Kobe had. All right, am I just going to go, or no, I'm going to keep fighting? And another point I wanted to read from the book, you know, he was saying how many people relate to this. And I would say this to you in wherever you're at in life. You're an athlete, you're a teacher, you're a coach, you're a businessman, you're a doctor, whatever. He was mentioning this idea of how all of these people had reached out to them and said, hey, you know, this book relates to me. And the one thing that I thought was most catching in that, he said one of the things that these people would say to him is, you know, it points out how lonely it is in the pursuit of these extraordinary goals. So they take comfort in reading about other people who have been in this pursuit. Guys like Kobe, guys like Michael Jordan, guys like Dwayne Wade and LeBron. All these guys that are really out of our reality. But he was saying people who have read this book have really related it to them and said by pointing out the mindset and the strategy of these most successful people, they've been able to apply it to their lives. And I want to point out one more thing as I'm scrolling through here. The difference of these athletes that he's talking about, and the difference that I apply to my life and that I would encourage you to apply to your life. You know, he mentions these athletes who win a championship, and they're great. You know, they have the ring. But he said the real people, the real athletes, and he calls them cleaners, which you know, we'll learn about here in the upcoming weeks. But he said the real athletes, the real cleaners, are the guys who don't just take that win and be okay with it and ride off into the sunset, but who keep going and keep going, who keep going and keep going, and apply, he doesn't say it, but I'm saying it, and who apply that fighter's mindset to everyday life. And, you know, to kind of wrap this up, and tomorrow we'll get into the real meat of the book, but he said that he accepted, the author said that he accepted all feedback, positive and negative. And the one really neat thing he said was, he said the only difference, and we can apply this to our lives, the only difference between feedback and criticism is how you hear it. The only difference between feedback and criticism is how you hear it. And I know in my life, especially with fighting, man, people are brutal. But I've gotten to a point where it's like, no, I want to, you know, whatever. It's you know, it's feedback. It's not criticism. So open your mind up to feedback versus criticism. And he said some of the feedback that he would have gotten, the negative feedback reviews that he got from the book, was people would say, but you didn't tell us how to do it. You didn't tell us how to do it. And his response to that was, no one else is in a position to tell you how to accomplish your goals. Because if you don't have that inner drive, if you don't have the motivation, you know, someone's not just going to do it for you. But what he said, the value of this book, the value of what I believe in and what I'm doing, is equipping you with the insight, the mindset, the perspective of the most successful people in the world, so that you can take that inner drive, that inner clarity, that inner focus you have, and apply this mindset and principles and strategies that they have. Because I often say, it's one sentence. The obstacle is the way. Boom. That is now in my brain. That was the last book I read. But that's in my brain that, boom, an obstacle comes my way. Hey, going to overcome it, going to move on, going to absorb it, and become better on the other end of it. So, this book, he and then I will deliver the mindset and the strategies of these most successful people to help you be relentless. As always, I appreciate you watching. I appreciate every single share. You know, there's so much stuff in these books that I'd love to share on a regular basis for an hour. So if anyone out there wants to set up a book club or something, pick up Relentless. Let me know. We set up a book club for Saturday mornings or something like that. I'd happily sit on social media and discuss, you know, this book for an hour with anyone who wants to. So no cats, no nothing. I appreciate all you listening. Remember, as always, hop on over to charlie-brenneman.com. Check myself, my co-host Dread out on A Fighter's Mindset. And surely in the next month, I'll be taking some content from Relentless and applying it to A Fighter's Mindset. Have yourselves a great Sunday afternoon. You're very welcome, Bear. Come back tomorrow. See you guys bright and early.